afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis, hence the name of my channel, Lloyd Consulting. 4 years ago, I was asked to come up with a series of videos that were filmed inexpensively. We don't use digital cameras, we don't use fluid head tripods, we don't use shotgun microphones, we wear tatty shirts, we just use a phone. But we look at cars that you can buy for a budget up to £1,000 only, and we very much enjoy ourselves. These are cars that might be in cosmetically bad condition. You might see oil leaks, rattly dashboards and cosmetic imperfections, but we go all over the country and we find these very inexpensive cars that you all seem to enjoy watching. Well, viewers, here we are back near Chelmsford and yet more no budget reviews action. A couple of months ago filmed a Peugeot 107 in this very location and lots of you seem to like it, so here we are back at Langley Prestige, or rather near Langley Prestige. It's a couple of miles from here, to get another car out of the stock that Simon and Dale have. This is a 2009 Ford Ka 1.2 Zetec. This is a Mark II model, based of course, as many of you will already know, on the same chassis as the current generation Fiat 500 and the current generation Panda. They're still selling those, unbelievably, 20 years after the current generation Panda went on sale. Actually, the current generation Panda is called something different, but the 500 and this and the Panda are all the same underneath. But there was a Mark sort of 4 Panda that came out in 2011, but it's very similar to the Mark III. One really annoying thing I've noticed about this car is that you either have to pop the boot with the key like this, or you have to put the key actually in to open it. Once you're there, it's actually not bad. It's kind of similar to a Fiat 500. I think it's just 215 litres of space. So the car is very clean, but it is actually awaiting some preparation, and one of the reasons for that will become obvious in a moment. So we've got things under there. I don't think we got a spare wheel in here. I'll just, one more second, dears. I just need to move this properly, but no, we don't have a spare actually in here. One thing I would probably do straight away is get one. I don't think it'd be very expensive. Another thing we have on this car, which I'm sort of quite surprised about, is parking sensors, and they work. This car is well out of no budget reviews territory actually. It's a really nice low mileage example. It just needs a couple of things doing to it. But you can buy these for no budget reviews money. I found one on Auto Trader, I think, for £800 actually just last night with an MOT, so we're okay. In that respect, that's a qualification for it. I think this car looks very neat. It's certainly a neater piece of design than the Ka Plus, which replaced it in 2016. The debut of this model was actually in 2008 in the James Bond film Quantum of Solace, where the car was supposed to have some kind of hybrid electric powertrain in the film. Of course it didn't. It was just a normal petrol one, I think, that they used for filming. But yes, certainly a very contemporary design with something like the Mark VII Fiesta that had come in the previous year. So yeah, launched in early 2009, and this is quite an early one. It's a 59 reg. And I think the dimensions of this are really good. I think the styling is successful. Like the 500 styling, I think, is arguably been more successful than this, because they're still making fundamentally the same car since the launch in 2007. But this is neat enough. This is the Zetec model, which was popular. The interior is really weird. It's got elements of Fiat 500 in it. I think these indicator and wiper stalks are sort of the same, but this dash is quite different. The radio, I think, is similar, but again a little bit different. The controls are roughly in the same position as they would be in the 500, and the gearbox is definitely the same, because you have to lift up this little collar to go into reverse, where you don't have to in the 500, but it's just some little changes. Both of these cars were made actually in Poland. They weren't made in Italy, they're made in Poland, a factory that has been going for a really long time, and I think they still make the 500 there, although the Panda these days I think is made in Italy. So we open up the glove box. I don't know if we're getting these secret mission documents in there, viewers. I don't think so. I mean, I'll try. I don't think they're going to fit. No, absolutely not. They're not going to fit. They go in the door. There we go. I think I'd better look at that. That glove box is not happy, is it? Yes, pre-preparation. I'll just fix that for Simon momentarily. Okay, glove box, lid reattached. Key, again, it's similar to a Fiat 500, but not exactly the same. Dashboard is actually tough, plastic. You'd expect that. Driving position is like a 500 really. You sit a little bit high. The mirror switch is actually on the door there, which is unusual. I just think maybe they're taking inspiration from the Mark V Fiesta, which also had that classic old Ford electric mirror control on the door in that position as well. Door bins are actually quite big in here. And yeah, it feels just very easy to operate. It's pretty much idiot-proof, all these controls like this. This one's got front fog lamps, and it's got a heated front screen because it's a Zetec, which is fantastic. It was a Ford unique feature for many years, but of course the Corsa E in 2014 and many other cars have got that feature since, because it was only copyright until about then, I think. But yes, it feels, for a little budget car, this was the cheapest car that Ford sold back in 2009. It feels absolutely fine. The standard of build, particularly in this low mileage example, feels good. I think it's a head-up leveling switch just there. And yeah, the lights are on this this twisty stalk here. There's a little menu which you might look at, but it probably won't be that exciting. Like a 500, keep the costs down, put the electric window controls on the center console like that, so you don't have to flip them between left and right hand drive. 5-speed manual. I think this was the only transmission option for the car in the second generation. You could get an automatic 500 with what's called a dual logic box, but having driven a 500 with a dual logic box with this 1.2 engine, I would thoroughly recommend you do not buy one. So just while Ford didn't do that, probably they thought, like I do, that maybe not the best idea. Right, it's raining a bit, viewers. Fortunately, I've got my coat on. I've got the waterproof case on the phone, so we will have a look at the engine. Actually, the release is just on that side. But yeah, so far so good. Cup holder down there. I think that's an aux input for the stereo and everything. It's not really an awful lot to say about these. Design is actually inside quite nice. 500s maybe to your taste. I don't know. It just depends really what you like. Yeah, we'll take a look at the engine, and then I'm going to have to climb in the back, aren't I, viewers? Because Mr. Manning from Matty's Cars is probably watching, and he requires that I do things like that for him. Well, viewers, the good old 1.2 fire engine that dates back to the mid-1980s. Generating, in this case, 69 horsepower. It looks very similar under here to a 500 or a Panda. That's no surprise. It does say Duratec on it, but it's not the same as that 1.25 Zetec SE or Sigma engine that was in the Fiestas at the time that this car was made. These do have a problem with the ECUs sometimes being in a vulnerable place. I will go through actually some of the other faults that are common on these shortly. There is a nice list of them on the Parker's website. But yes, pretty much for things that go wrong on the Fiat 500. Although there are some parts that are definitely Ford stamped and things like that. Others, such as that oil filler cap, I think are probably Fiat, and so the dipstick and everything. But yeah, you know, if you're into these sort of engines, they've got a cam belt to make sure that that's been done at a regular interval, then yeah, you'll be very familiar with the way that these work. Strangely, this car's got a remote brake servo, which is interesting. The brakes feel fine, by the way, actually. Right, I can't put this off any longer. We're going to have to get into back viewers. Okay, here we go. So my driving position is this. Thing is here. Yes, it does go forward. Okay. Try not to sound like Roger Moore's stunt double in View to a Kill. Right, we're in. It's okay. I mean, if I was actually in my driving position, then I wouldn't be able to drive. Look at where the seat is. Dear, oh dear. But this fabric's reasonably stylish in here. You know, you've got little accents on the seats that match the exterior colour of the car. And, you know, it's a bit more tasteful than quite a lot of cars these days. Must be the sort of influence of Fiat and their, you know, nice choice of materials that they have inside the 500s. Not really much to say. There's no ashtrays or anything in here. Waiting preparation, of course, is that thing needs to be reattached to wherever it goes. But yeah, actually, this car's got a very nice, clean interior, and I can't believe I can actually sort of fit in here. Even if I sit up, my head's brushing the ceiling, but at 5'11", it's okay. Right, that's quite enough waffling views. Let's go out for a little drive. Yes, viewers, I think we've identified the problem with this car. Welcome to No Budget Reviews. It's actually a really nice car, this. It's only done 32,000 miles. And at the moment at the dealership, it's got this big sort of waiting preparation sticker on it. And so that makes sense. Just there we go, it's better. It's sort of similar to a Fiat 500 to drive, and kind of a little bit different. I did have a look and see what exactly Ford had done to the underneath of one of these 500s to make it more suitable for a cab. And it appears that the suspension and the steering have been changed, and actually is more kind of similar in that way to the Mark 1 car would have been, the set the 500 has. Somehow they've made the ride better and the steering a bit sharper, and it handles better, which is very good. I'm very impressed with that. Otherwise, the driving position feels very similar to a 500, very, very similar. So yes, there's only really just one engine we can talk about with one of these cars. It was 1.2 fire engine, but those date back to the 1980s, and they've only recently gone out of production, generating 69 horsepower, obviously identical to the one in the 500 at the time. And there weren't any other variants. There's no 1.4, no multi-air, anything like that. Nothing really. The only thing I would say is that there was another power plant available, and it is powered by a certain type of fuel, but thanks to the Mayor of London and all his friends around the country, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. One thing you're certainly not going to do in one of these petrol cars is with any speed records. 0 to 60 takes about 13 seconds. So if you want your city car to be particularly nippy, this probably isn't the one for you. Yeah, definitely gonna have that exhaust changed. I think I've spoken to Simon and Dale about this, and parts actually already there to get this done, so don't worry about that. So the person who buys this car will have that all sorted out. Apart from that, steering is very light, but one thing I haven't seen in this car, I don't know if it's an option on some other trims, is a button to vary the weight of the electric power steering, which is a very well-known feature on the 500s and the Panda, but it doesn't seem to be prevalent on this particular car. Manual gearbox is very nice actually, because this car's got such low mileage on it. It feels really good. It's very easy to sort of handle around town and things like that. It's perfect. Insurance groups are very low on this car. Certainly for a first car or something like that, this would be very good actually, because it's just so sort of friendly in character, and it doesn't require much effort to drive it or anything. But it's not the last word in dynamism or anything like that, but you don't really expect that for a car that costs relatively little money and was inexpensive when it was new as well. Certainly for a lot of people, this will be all that they need really, and I quite like it actually. Do I like this more than the 500? I have driven one of those back in 2021 on the channel. I don't know actually. Jury's out as far as I'm concerned. Make your own mind about it. Make up your own mind about that. Let's look at some second generation Ford car trim levels, shall we, viewers? So the bottom of the range was the Studio. You could get a Connect version as well as that. I don't know what that means, presumably Bluetooth or something. The Style or Style Plus, the Zetec like this, and there were a couple of other versions of the Zetec, the Black Edition and the White Edition. Some of the versions of the Ford cab that were available actually allowed you to personalise the car further, like to tattoo premium cars. I think the metal as well. They allowed you to have seat graphics and things like that. There's also a titanium, which I think probably would be my choice. The digital. How can you have a car that's entirely digital? I don't understand. Anyway, Edge is a very popular Ford trim level from the 2000s. And for some reason, the Grand Prix 1, 2 and 3. I don't know why on earth this car would be associated with the Grand Prix, but there we go. Anyway, is this a car that actually you should consider for your hard-earned budget up to £1,000, or realistically you're going to be spending a little bit more than that, I think, on most of these? Well, it depends if you like the styling of this or not, and it depends if you like the slightly different driving experience from one of the 500s. There's still plenty of these around, and there will be for some time, because they made these until 2016. Very different car from both the Mark 1 and then the later Cab Plus. Which of them is better? It's up to you really, isn't it? Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again soon for more inexpensive motoring.